Hi folks, my name's Stephen Baxter. I live at 917 North Ford Avenue. He wants you to be wise, I want you to be wise. I want to be wise. Last September I was up here speaking about the cynical camping tickets issued to those in our community who have nothing, that are too poor to afford a roof over their head, and we voted down a homeless shelter, and by we I mean you, and we cite human beings for falling asleep outside when we give them no place to go. At the time, Dan Hughes sat here, was questioned by Ms. Flory, and he said, what are we supposed to do? What are my men supposed to do? They give them warnings, we try to find housing for them, and they refuse help. Well, I'm going to tell you a little story that happened since the last time I was here. And this is about someone named Karen, who's 65 years old, who just recently started receiving Social Security checks. And the first month she got a check, it was ripped off. The second month, I worked with J.D. DiCaprio, and him and this guy named Hector he rides around with from Social Services found her a place. I was so happy. She goes there, she refuses. I was unhappy. I blamed her. They blamed her. Everyone blamed her. The following month, she was ripped off again. Didn't have enough money. Month after that, there was no place found. In May, those guys found her another place by the same owner. She goes, doesn't like it, comes back. She refused. They were angry with her. They blamed her. I blamed her. And then she was promptly arrested for warrants for no camping. Now, the only reason I got involved, I'd written her off just like everybody else, is because this guy who owned the place, and I won't name him, but I'll tell you all in the email if you'd like to hear it, refused to give her money back. Her head never touched a pillow, and he would not give her back $750 that she had deposited, even though she never spent a minute there. Because she did give 30-day notice that she wasn't going. None of the people involved in finding this place tried to get her money back. I had to do it. I'm not a public servant. Why did I have to get it back? And when I picked up the check, you know what I found? A shithole, folks. It was disgusting. A guy in his underwear answered the door, and this is where you're going to put a 65-year-old woman? It's not their fault. They're not being obstinate. They want to live someplace decent. So don't pretend that they deserve these tickets, and they deserve these arrests. And they deserve to spend 6 days in jail. They don't. Some people do, but it's not them.
Justice for Kelly Thomas. Sleep is a human right. It's a human right to sleep. Every human needs to sleep. You have all slept every single night of your lives, except for a few uncomfortable nights in college. And so you all know the value of sleep, because after a long night of no sleep, a person gets kind of loopy. After 2 nights of sleep, they get really loopy. And after 3 or 5 or 10, they might die. So by your terrorist law enforcement department issuing citations to the unhoused people in the city of Fullerton, you might potentially be committing murder against them. Not that your cops would ever murder a homeless person. You need to fire the officers that killed Kelly Thomas. All of the officers that killed Kelly Thomas. And you need to put cameras on your officers and give some accountability for the people that are paying their salaries. Reduce your law enforcement budget, increase your budget for taking care of homeless people in the city of Fullerton. There are clearly people around that don't have a place to live, and they've chosen Fullerton as their outdoor living space. And you need to deal with them and love them as citizens of your city. Make it so that food is available for them. A way you can do that is providing public spaces and public water to make community gardens available to be tended by volunteers, perhaps even homeless volunteers, and they can have something to do. It keeps them out of trouble, and it keeps them fed with healthy, organic, non-genetically modified food. I'd also like for you to provide better education for these people that you obviously seem to have a problem with. Maybe make like a motorhome or a bus with some books that can come visit them, where you know they hang out, at the bus depot where they murdered Kelly Thomas. Bring some books down there to teach them some things about life, and let them live like people. And those bathrooms, I've seen the bathrooms in Portland and in San Francisco and Los Angeles, and They're few and far between, and there need to be more of them, and certainly there need to be more of them here. And also shower access as well. I've heard a lot of people complaining about smelly homeless people. But if a homeless person is smelly and has no home and has nowhere to take a shower, where will you think they're going to take a shower? So those little bathrooms, you could put a shower in there too, and then they'd have a way to clean themselves. It's ridiculous the way you treat these
I'd like to
people.
comment on Dr. Hoppy's engineering sheet here to my right. I'm trying to lighten up the meeting a little bit. Today I was obligated to call the weed abatement program, which exists at the Fullerton Fire Department, to report the area on the east side of Euclid at Rosecrans, extending for about 100 yards in both directions. That's the former site of the landslide, the lawsuit that we unfortunately lost. The last time I was here and spoke about that subject, I was promised grass. Well, it never came. What came were weeds. And the weeds are 2 or 3 feet high. They died, and the hill is covered. To me, that's a fire hazard. So I live in that area with a water shortage. I'd like to see the weeds gotten rid of. Secondly, I frequently bypass the southeast corner of 91 Freeway and Harbin. And according to what I've learned from, I believe, the mayor, that's the proposed site for the homeless. And I want to comment that I think it's an excellent choice. The freeway's on one side, industry is on the other, and 2 major boulevards with at least buses on one of them is the other. I would also suggest, after the comments heard here this evening concerning homeless refusing to go into buildings, some of them don't like rules and regulations. They want to be outside. I would propose that some grass areas be left open for them to put their tents up, with restrooms and so forth that they're available. And the real reason I'm here is I'm supposed to push a button and my name is magically going to appear, and I don't know where to begin. Oh, with the keyboard. Oh, okay. Do I just touch them? Or?
You just double click them with the mouse.
I was, unfortunately, my daughter, who's been living in Portland, Oregon for the past 7 or 8 years, insisted that I come up, and I missed the ceremony at the cemetery this Memorial weekend. And I've been attending it every year, and have had my picture taken with some of the most outstanding officers in the military. But while I was there, we visited their market, and it's an amazing place. I only wish ours was half that nice. But while I was there, I saw this. My daughter pointed this device out to me. I don't know how well you can see it. I can't see it very well from here. But that's an outdoor restroom. There's no graffiti. There are no homeless there. It's. Let me just click it.
We'll give you 1 more minute because you were having trouble with your electronics there.
And this is what it looks from the back side. And this is a mural or a depiction on the front door. So you can stand there and read that while you're waiting. And this is the interior. And it looks nicer than that picture, I'm sorry.
And I'm not from Fullerton.
Thank you.
However, when my son was murdered by a police officer, shot in the back with a submachine gun, I started noticing other cities and their actions and their activities and what they're doing. And so, of course, I mean, I came here many times speaking on many different issues about police misconduct. And the last time I was here, I spoke about AJ's arrest. And not speaking about AJ, but I just wanted to question, has anybody, I mentioned this last time I was here, has anybody further pursued a ticket or an arrest against a camera woman who shoved and pushed other people and not dead that protest? Has anybody done anything about that? After all, Jordan Carroll was arrested and had to go to jail. And she was just responding back to being assaulted by a camera woman. So has anybody done anything about that? Your chief told me that there was a committee that reviewed those tapes. Didn't they review that woman? Didn't they see that woman also assaulting other people? She did do it. So I really think that you guys really should look into that. If you're going to be a fair government, come on now, let's be fair. And I also would like to touch upon Karen, the homeless woman. Again, I'm on social media, and so I see the misconduct in my city and in your city. And when I saw that the homeless woman was arrested for camping, it broke my heart again. It really broke my heart. Instead of arresting somebody or leaving a ticket, they kind of did her like they did AJ. She wasn't there. Her blanket was there. Her property was there. So they just put out a warrant for her and then went after her later. How just is that? But how just is it to, you know, that most of those people that are homeless are usually mentally ill? Don't you guys have some way of dealing with the mentally ill people? You know, it terrifies me because my son has went through a very traumatic time this year, and he has been kind of unbalanced, and I've been terrified for him to be out on the street, afraid that he would get shot because of his conduct, or he would be put in jail. You guys need to know how to train your people to deal with the mentally ill and the homeless, and the police officers need to be monitored. You need to do some house cleaning and get rid of the people that are bloodthirsty, the bloodthirsty cops, or the arrogant, cocky cops that want to do harm to other people because they
I
wear
have family that lives in Fullerton. And I've been here on several occasions since Kelly Thomas was killed, since my brother Michael Nida was killed in Downey. It's really disgusting how Fullerton has evolved over the last almost 3 years now that since Kelly has been killed. I mean, we've met some wonderful people, and AJ is one of them, and I can't imagine, I'm just disgusted that your city spent how many thousands of dollars sending 6 cops to Pasadena to track him down. It's just disgusting. And then to go and arrest Karen, the homeless woman, for not having a place to sleep. Do you guys really know where all your money's going? I mean, is anybody looking at the budget? Is anybody keeping track of what Dan Hughes is doing? You know, when he wanted to be chief, you know, he put out all this smoke and mirrors to everybody and said he was going to make all the changes in the department, but look what's happening. It's not getting any better, I don't think. I mean, hopefully none of the cops have killed anybody since Kelly Thomas. I mean, that's a good thing, but arresting homeless people and going after live streamers after the protest, I was here that day in January, and they were targeting the live streamers because, oh, God forbid, we don't want the public to really know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't want the public to know that we have an army of cops behind the building in riot gear, ready to come out. God forbid the public would find that out. So I wonder how many thousands of dollars that day cost your city when the majority, in fact, everybody was very peaceful. It was a peaceful protest. Yeah, and the camera lady, I saw what she did. Pushed Jordan, and then who files charges? Not the camera lady didn't file charges against Jordan. Fullerton did. So how much did that cost you? How much? Ask your city attorney. That cost you money to go after someone who is defending herself from a camera woman? And did you charge the camera woman with assault? Don't think so. You guys need to get a handle on this, like Barry Levinson said. You're going to be saying goodbye pretty soon.
I'm not really sure how to begin. Forget that nobody was ever disciplined for the beating of Kelly Thomas. 3 of those officers still work for the Fullerton Police Department. Dan here still has 3 of those cowards working there. Kenton Hampton, who knocked a man out on camera, and then was never disciplined or fired for that action, but went on to help beat Kelly Thomas to death, is now playing police football games like nothing happened. Did nothing happen? Kevin Craig, he was a supposed commanding officer that night, And he helped the other 5 officers kill Kelly Thomas. We all saw the video. Everybody saw the video. This is not something I'm making up. Okay, he rendered no aid and let Kelly bleed out on the ground, and then testified in court that none of these cops did anything wrong in that video, as did Corporal Rubio. But somehow he was seen fit to receive an award as Supervisor of the Year, Dan? Supervisor of the Year. Let that sink in for a minute. Are you kidding me? We will not be forgiving nor forgetting these murderers as long as we live. But it seems you're willing to go on like nothing happened, like these men are innocent somehow, like the tape doesn't exist. Now they play football games and they get awards and they coach Little League. In the meantime, Kelly Thomas is still very dead. And no justice was ever given to him. Shame on you. Shame on Fullerton PD. Shame on Dan Hughes, who puts people in jail for spray paint instead of murder. Your department illegally arrested people for filming in areas not declared unlawful. Your officers knocked down handicapped people and
Sir,
injured
please
them.
address your comments to the council, not to Mr. Hughes.
I am talking to you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I would please listen up, because it's pretty important.
Give him extra time now.
Can I have extra time because you interrupted me, or am I
I'll
supposed
give
to
you
get-
10 more
Thank
seconds,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
25.
But somehow, you know, you knock handicap people down at the protest and chase wheelchair people around because one person spray painted an A 6 blocks away, and you feel somehow that's justified? And then you send 6 undercover Fullerton cops in fake beards to Pasadena to arrest somebody for a minor misdemeanor while people get stabbed to death outside of clubs in Fullerton, while arsonists are on the loose? That's the priority? That disgusts you. You disgust me. You, Chuck, I'm talking to you now. And if changes aren't made, someone else is going to get hurt or killed by this rogue force of men that think they are untouchable. Kenton Hampton, James Blatney, and Kevin Craig, Corporal Rubio, Dan Hughes, you're disgraces, and you should all step down now. The badge is no place for cowards. Now show some respect.
Ladies and gentlemen watching on television, I'm the site administrator of the FullertonInformer.com, and I'm here to discuss several issues tonight once again. You know, when I walked in this room tonight, it was very, very comforting to hear a Christian pastor close a prayer in Jesus' name. I can't believe that the pastor of a mega church in Fullerton can't even have the guts to do that, but here we are in a government meeting and he has the guts to do it. And then I'm blessed with the fact that we have someone singing our national anthem, a cappella. That flag is red, white, and blue for a reason. People died barefoot in the snow and bled out under a blue sky for what we all take for granted that is being robbed of us by people that are out of control with their false sense of security with their government public employee union contracts that think that they are beyond reproach. Well, I'm here to tell you that today's election day, and it may be a primary, but after every primary there's a general election. And let's see what happens in the fall. I'm horrified to think of what goes on at these cocktail parties. I live up on the hill and I hear the trash cans clank when the recycle truck comes through. I know what's going on. And a lot of people's consciences in this town are seared with a hot iron. And they think because they've got a lot of dough in the bank and they've got their pensions rolling in, they think they're just above everything. Well, let me tell you, I got news for all you people that think you're sitting pretty. Your kids are getting sterilized in the classrooms with the Wi-Fi systems and these wireless devices, and you can go into denial on that all you want. But another thing I'm here to tell you is the following. We are in big trouble on a variety of fronts. And the police state is marching on with or without your consent. And what is happening in this city is nothing more than a dog and pony show. We got a lot of good PR and a lot of big money behind it, but the bottom line is the root of the problem is very deep, and it has not been rooted out. And we have people that are in complete and total denial that worship the establishment. I decided to take my son to Polly's, my 11-year-old son, for some breakfast on a Saturday morning last week, and had the privilege of sitting adjacent to a table with an off-duty Fullerton police officer discussing what happened to Kelly Thomas. And my son listened to the whole exchange, and what happened to Kelly Thomas, as described by this Fullerton police officer, was that he had a heart attack during the course of resisting arrest. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I can tell you right now that there are people in Las Vegas hotel rooms that go through far more extraneous and stressful circumstances, doing things, the limits of debauchery that know no end, that survive that. What happened to Kelly Thomas did not mean he died of a heart attack from resisting arrest. He was murdered at the hands of several out-of-control police officers, and several of which are still on duty and the journalists go to jail, and they're the only ones who go to the Who's Gal. We've got problems, the FullertonInformer.com, thank
And
you.
now 11, or 9 other people, now 10 other people. I'm going to trial, though I've committed no crime. Crimes have victims. What I did was report the news. There's no victim in live streaming. This man here, this gentleman here is live streaming. I don't know if you're also live streaming, but live streaming is not a crime. What live streaming is doing a live broadcast through a cell phone or another small device that automatically uploads onto a server. People can watch at home, on their computer, they can watch on their smartphone or other device. This is what live stream is. Live stream is unedited truth. It is the purest form of reporting news. People who are live streaming, reporting the news, should not be arrested for telling the truth. The lady from CBS pushed Jordan. She assaulted Jordan on January 18th. On January 18th, there was a very large man, maybe, I don't know how tall, I can't reach that high, from ABC News. He grabbed me by the shoulder and pushed me. This man assaulted me. That man assaulted Jordan Carroll. What a coincidence that 2 live streamers were assaulted by people from the mainstream media.
Not arrested.
And not arrested. What if I just chose to defend myself the way my father taught me to? Would I have gone to jail for assault? I'm facing trial, and 11 other people are facing trial, though no crime has been committed. What a shame. Is Fullerton such a rich city that you can afford to put people to trial who have committed no crime? I looked up crime statistics in the city. There is crime in the city. There are rapes in the city. There are murders in the city. There are cops who commit murder and get away with it in the city. There is vandalism. There is arson. There is burglary. There are cars being stolen. What a shame that your city is so rich that you can prosecute people who have committed no crime.
Or so presented to the county as a regional shelter that will be run by the county. Probably about 200 beds is what we're anticipating. And I'd like the city manager, anything you'd care to comment on from the remarks that we had?
Just a couple in addition to that. 2 weeks ago, Councilwoman Flory had responded to inquiries we've had regarding oil drilling, acidizing, and other potential issues related to oil drilling in Fullerton and beyond. As a follow-up to that, I'd reached out to some of the other cities who had expressed some similar concerns from their residents. And at a recent meeting of the 7 cities in North Orange County, there's a great interest in an educational forum. There are issues that extend beyond what's happening in Fullerton, which is the acidizing of the 6 wells. But there are clearly some other concerns, and I think that the other cities were enthusiastic about putting together an educational forum that would cover a little broader spectrum of oil drilling impacts. And so we're working with that, some speakers, advocates for air quality and water quality impacts that are there. So that will come together, and we're looking for late summer, early fall for date on that. Other announcement is that the council chambers will be under construction starting tomorrow morning, and we anticipate the next 2 meetings will be at the library. So in our normal location there, we'll make sure those announcements are made public. And then I believe we had items 3 and 7 off the consent calendar, 2 of the construction projects. Mr. Package will those.
Could you also address weed abatement?
Mr. Hoppy, tomorrow we can get in touch with Mr. Bean and look at the weed abatement request to the fire department. Yep, we'll look into that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Whitaker, any comments or communications? Councilmember Ford? Passing Councilmember Fitzgerald.
I just want to let you know that I attended, along with Mayor Pro Tem Seaborn and our Director of Public Works, Don Hoppy, the Association of California Cities Infrastructure Conference last Thursday. And if anyone has a chance to learn more about Mayor Greg Ballard of Indianapolis, Indiana, really inspirational story about how he has turned Indianapolis around, and so I would encourage you to do that. I would also encourage you may have seen signs around town about fireworks, and I would encourage you to get ready to go out and buy safe and sane fireworks. When you do, you support local nonprofits throughout this city and have a lot of fun in the process. And then I also want to say how proud I am of our police chief, Dan Hughes, and our police department. Chief Hughes, I want you to know how much we appreciate your leadership. What I appreciate most
Out
is,
here, after hearing the conference here today, the city council, we just all left because now it's just BS they're talking about. We're just gonna go on there and have a good time.
And you know what? They just really don't, though, seriously. They really don't.